Welcome to another edition of Talking with WIT Kevin and Son. Hey, here, this is where we have real conversations that create an impact. Today's guest is a powerhouse of purpose and resilience, Dr. Katrina Ferguson, an author, a speaker, a coach, a mother, a brilliant human being with a great mind. She wrote a book called Waiting to Exit. Hell, Dr. Ferguson, her story is one of transformation from walking through her own trials and tribulations and helping others find the beauty beyond their own fire. She is a living testimony that purpose can be born from pain and that our greatest exit often begins at our lowest points in life. In this episode, we will explore the exit from experience, how Dr. Ferguson helped people not only to survive their current circumstances, but thrive beyond them. Hi, my name is Kevin McLemore. I am your show host, four-time published author, award-winning author, mindset coach, and master level fitness professional. Our mission is to give power to your voice, inspire, share experiences, and create a framework that surrounds teaching and learning. This show is sponsored by The Borough at 149 East Lancaster Avenue in Downingtown, PA. It is a beautiful restaurant with three levels. The first, upscale sports bar. The second level, upscale fine dining. The third level is where you can dance and eat and just have a good time on Fridays and Saturday nights. So if you hear about the borough on this podcast, or if you heard, drop by and ask for the owner, JT or Keith, or even ask for my son, the executive chef there, and my original co-host, Theo McLemore. So, with that said, let's get this show on the road. Dr. Ferguson. Now, I do want to tell you, I am a Southern boy. So I was always taught to ask permission to call anyone by their first name or anything other. I can either address you throughout here as Dr. Ferguson, or how would you like me to address you?
Katrina is fine. I do have a question for you, however.
Yes, ma'am.
The borough, a sister likes to get her dance on. Can I get an invite, a VIP ticket, something over there?
Let me tell you, when you get to PA, I will make sure that I will escort you personally there in
Okay.
order to make sure you get first class treatment. I promise you that.
All right. Okay. Forgiven because I missed it the last time.
Okay. Well, it's only because of schedules. I mean, we're two busy people, and I
Yeah.
can't wait to talk about this story, your story, and your personal journey. Um, Let me ask you this: where'd you grow up?
I actually grew up in the DMV, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. And up until about 7 years ago, I was still there. So I'm still a DC girl. I still go back a couple times a month. And that northeastern corridor from DC all the way up into New York, that's pretty much my stomping ground when I was living there.
All right, because I know from earlier conversations we have a lot in common, and I want to say this at the top of the show. I'm sending prayers and love out to Uncle Dwight. We
Thank
have that in common, my oldest brother, so I'm sending that out, and hopefully our listeners, the power. I believe in the power of prayer, so send that positive energy over there and put Doctor Brother Dwight in your prayers. That's my guess is Uncle. She's in Atlanta right now, and she's taking time off to be with you and I today. So. I'm going to peel back the layers of how you grew up. So before you became an author, before you
Yes.
became this motivated speaker, before you became Dr. Ferguson, graduated from high school, probably attended college someplace, probably had a couple of friends, probably was either on the right road or wrong road. Which part do we want to start with?
Well, I literally, it's bizarre. My parents divorced when I was like 8. And it was really still challenging because my dad has 5 masters and 3 doctorates. My mom had a master's in education, administration. And I remember even as a little girl, when she was going to college in the summers at UVA, I would literally go with her, and kind of have to stay in the dorms while she was in class and whatnot. And when I grew up, went through high school, got into college in my sophomore year, I ended up having to drop out because I got pregnant. And it was so tough around my family for a season. And what I realized then is I've always had somehow this internal fortitude that says right is right and wrong is wrong. And it doesn't really matter who believes anything differently. It's like, this is my conviction. And so, out of getting pregnant as a sophomore, losing the support of my family in the process, I ended up moving into a neighborhood. That's how I got to Camden. That's how I got to Camden, New Jersey, because my cousin was there and I knew that I could go there and blend in as a single parent because I was embarrassed, right? Back then, you just didn't, that's not something that you did.
Yeah.
But I had a cousin who helped me figure it out. I went through a season I call where I bumped my head. And then one morning when I woke up, I called my mom and I said, listen, like most teens and young adults have to do, humble themselves to their parents because they don't really have all the answers and then go back and begin to build. And that's really where it all started. I went to college, I worked full time, and I worked part time to take care of me and my kids and it just kind of created this, I can do it. I have to make it work because there's a way, because there's a will, and just never ever giving up. I think the biggest challenge I've had, Kevin, if I can call you Kevin,
Me,
is that I don't know how to stop. I've had to literally learn how to slow down because I'm like, let's get through this. Let's get past this. Let's move to this next level. Because there's not for myself or my personal gain. I'm blessed, right? All my needs are met. There are so many people out there whose needs are not met. So many people who don't understand the strategies for getting past their current situations. So many people who have gotten stuck in the ideologies of other people, the frameworks that people have created for them, and don't have the courage to step out and do what they feel on their insides is right. That trusting that God breathed intuition that we all have. And so I early really started having these conversations with people. And it wasn't until I got married, we had been together for quite a while, and we were leaders in our church and we were making things happen. And I don't know what happens, and maybe you can explain this to me as a man, when the person who saw you go from really not having anything or who supported you or was with you saw you grab the six-figure incomes and the luxury vacations and the big house and all those things doesn't isn't enough anymore. And I can say it that way because in our conversations, even now, 30 years later, 20 years later, he would share that it wasn't anything I did, but it was something personal that he was going through that caused, the cheating. And then ultimately we separated and divorced. Challenge was I was that single parent mom. I was the Kool-Aid mom at my house was where all the kids came. Our kids never did sleepovers because I don't know those folks over there. I know who's in my house. So y'all come over here. Y'all come eat brownies with us. And that's who we were. So I didn't have even a position. I didn't have a job when we separated. But somehow being me, remember, I've always got to keep moving forward, making things happen. I say supernaturally saved over $15,000. And that's what took us over the hump when the child support stopped coming. And I began to look for another way. I knew there had to be a better way than faxing homework because I had to go get a job. I worked at a law firm for over 15 years with litigators, made great money, but I had no time with my kids. I got tired of faxing homework back and forth. I got tired of someone telling me when I could be at home or when I could vacation with my children or what time I had to be at work. And I'm leaving home in the dark, coming home in the dark. My kids are being raised by other people. It wasn't acceptable. So that same me began to look. I'm trying to exit that hell, if you will, getting a little ahead of myself.
that's okay.
But I went out there and I kept looking until I found a company I could align with in the direct sales industry. Got involved, went out the first day, earned more money than I did the entire month at work in one day. So, of course, I'm thinking, what if I could do the one day every day? Or at least 5 days a week. So I literally fired my boss. My parents flipped. Everybody that was in my support network was like, you're crazy. But I knew I had to do something different if I wanted something different. If I wanted to be with my kids, I had to do something seemingly reckless to create a scenario that was a possibility. Within 3 months, I had come, well, literally 57 days. I completely replaced my full-time income. Within 3 years, I had earned in this company over $1 million. Now, some people say to me, why? Like, why did you work that hard? Why would you move that fast? Well, one of the things was my ex-husband told me I could never make it work. And rather than believing what he said, I chose to use what he said as the fuel to make it work. I had something to prove. I didn't want my children to have to live a substandard lifestyle because their parents couldn't get along. So I went out and made something happen.
Let me ask you this before we go on, because my position here on the podcast is to ask the questions that my listeners are going to ask, and you're going through at this at a rapid pace, like giving this information. First thing I'm going to ask, and I'm going to apologize. I have two dogs, and in my studio, that dog sitter basically um, canceled on me. So when I get deliveries, please forgive me. So if it's in the recording, but first of all, by name, your cousin that gave you salvation. Who is she? I want to give her roses and thank her for giving you
Salvation.
salvation.
I'm sorry, when you say my cousin that gave, oh,
You,
Mary, Kat, my cousin Kat. She's actually my namesake. So her
okay.
name is Kat, Kathy Rivers.
All right, Kathy, thank
Mhm.
you for setting her up for success. The other
Yes,
question I want to answer when you said that maybe I can help you is that you have to realize throughout our journey, there are
yes.
people that either are going to pull us back and leave us stuck where we started in whatever environment. And there are people that will hold our hand and guide us and support us in the process of it. And there are other people that will lay the groundwork in order for you to do it. Some people are just not ready for success. So the answer to your question is that for men, it may be difficult to see their partners prosper when they're not in the same lane, or you may have, you know, be modulating on a different frequency than he
Mhm.
was, and he may not been ready for you yet. We all meet people in stages. And the third question I'm going to ask and let you continue your story is that you made more money in one day than the entire month of the current company you were working at the law firm. So now that everyone's going to ask, what company was this?
I can't say. I
Okay,
can't say yet.
okay, I won't dwell. So
Yeah.
let's pick up where you had. I'm going to let the ball roll again. All right, so you made your $1 million. Let's go ahead. I won't interrupt
Yes.
again.
No worries. No worries. As you were speaking, though, and you were talking about some people come into our lives to kind of pull us back or hold us back. But then there's a place inside of us, though, that has to learn like a slingshot. I saw a slingshot to kind of force the let go, right? Because even in that scenario, I said, if you're not, if we're not gonna be together, then don't hold me hostage. Let me go so that I can be all that I can be, because I knew what I would and wouldn't do. At that point, I hadn't had any success in terms of no any massive success. We were building some things together. And one of my mentors, Mike Murdoch, was a good friend of ours. And we went to all of these conferences. And when we separated and I showed up without my ex, he asked where he was. And I told him, and I said, but what about all of the goals and the dreams and the plans? And it was Mike Murdoch who reminded me the gifts of God are without repentance. He said, just stay the course and you're going to see all of those things manifest in your own life. Sometimes we as kingdom citizens, Christians, think that manifest is a bad word, but it isn't. It's exactly the plan and the strategy for creating in this earth realm. And I will never forget that. I never forgot that. And there have been so many comments along the way that I have just picked up that just drive you, take you a little bit further, which is why I'm such a proponent of personal development, inspirational reading, and podcasts, very much like yours, so that people can find that spark. It's sometimes you just need to say, oh my gosh, if she can do it with that big old forehead, or she can do it with three kids and this in her background, then guess what? I know I can do it too. And that's what I always looked for. I looked for someone who was doing it that I could mimic, that I could hold on to. As a matter of fact, one of those people was Les Brown. I met Les Brown at a book signing, and I walked up to him and I said, I've been praying for a mentor. And he says, well, it looks like your prayers have been answered. What if I'd never asked? I would have never become a platinum speaker. I would have never understood the speaking industry. He gave me my first platform for speaking. And in the process, I've grown. It's just amazing. Like if you miss opportunities when they come to you, they may never come back around. So why not take the shot? Your future is worth it, right? So I'm that person like, whatever, I'm cornbread. I make mistakes. I trip and fall. Things happen just like everybody else. So I've never been that stuck on myself. So
You know,
yeah, as I start to
it's
think about it.
we have way too many things in common. We'll talk about this after the show. But Les Brown is a good friend. I
Yes.
was his trainer when he had his television show. I've seen the rise and fall of a great man.
Mhm.
I noticed like the Cecil, I wrote a thing that says a hero is nothing but a sandwich. And when you see someone that is on top of the world and have someone that pulls something out from underneath you, and you said it earlier, when you have someone else controls your destiny, they control a lot more than just your destiny if you allow yourself to be controlled. And when I watch Les bounce back as your story, it's one of those of the test of time and resilience. I want people to know that every storm, there's sunshine after a cloudy day. You just got
Yes.
to weather the storm. And sometimes we carry a cloud with us a lot longer than it needs to. And we don't, for some reason, we ignore the possibilities of our future. And the one thing you did not do in listening to your story, and I'm so excited for you because good things are coming.
Yeah.
Your personal journey did not define the moment where you were at. It defined the moment that inspired you to write, waiting to X. Hell. Tell us how that came about.
So even throughout the story, as I've shared to this point, I began to look back, right? I went for probably another decade. And I started looking back, and this is actually, I think, my fifth or sixth book. But I started looking back and I realized that there were all these little instances, situations that I had to find a way out of. And it wasn't like someone was coming and saying, here, open the door and this is your way out. Some of them I had to pursue things. Other times I had to simply endure. But there was always a strategy to exit that place. And I was watching the television and I saw Angela Bassett in Waiting to Exhale. And remember when she had that cigarette and she was like,
Right.
and she just walked away. She never looked back. And I said, why are we though waiting to exhale? And I was like, we're really not waiting to exhale. We're waiting to exit hell, especially as women. We find ourselves in situations, relationships, jobs, and living arrangements where we don't want to be there, but we're waiting for someone else to open the door. So we're literally waiting to exit hell when we can actually open the door and exit those hells ourselves. And as I started to look at, there's two versions of the book. The one that's published so far is this 31-day journaling affirmation experience that literally lays down, here are some of the hells, here's how you begin to get out of them. These are the declarations you need to keep in mind because that's your self-talk. The life you live today is the sum total of the thoughts you had yesterday. So you have to change your thinking. If you want to be more, you have to think of yourself as more. Well, how do you even get there? For me, I literally at one point had to take the Bible and sit down and write everything that God said about me. He made me good. All of those things because the world and the people around me were telling me something different. My circumstances were telling me something different. If you were to look at my first apartment, it was $350 on the corner of Marlton Pike in Camden, New Jersey, next to the Popeyes, right? But what I did in that little apartment, I was the only apartment that didn't have roaches because I took care of it. My first car was a Datsun G10, whatever, whatever, with a hole in the floorboard, but I took care of it. So life for us is a stewardship issue. What you do with what you have now is a clear determinant of what you will have tomorrow. If you're not taking care of your gifts and talents, if you're not grooming them and growing them, why would anyone add to them? Right? People who are trying to get to another level are looking for people at another level. When I met Les and he agreed to be my mentor, I said, wait a minute, though. I don't just want your mentorship. Let me share with you what I can see I can do for you. He, at the time, had some real issues with travel. I'm not a travel agent, but I can manage his travel because I appreciated him. I was grateful for him taking the time with me. So rather than just looking at people for what they can do for you, you have to find out what are the weaknesses in their lives, in their areas that you can fill so that there is this commerce. People don't realize relationship is commerce. It's about doing for one another, especially the things that they can't do for themselves, right? And then
Right.
you begin to build on that. So yeah, we have to get it hurts my heart, this generation of people who has an expectancy of something for nothing. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work
Yeah.
that way.
Well, believe it or not, we live in a society that where instant gratification is the priority. No one wants to wait till something develops. I mean, everyone talks about fast money, fast this, swipe right, swipe left, instant husband, instant wife, perfect husband, perfect life, whatever the case may be. And it's a different world that you and I grew up in. And I know
Yeah,
for young people watching the show, it's going to be hard to comprehend. I mean, my kids even say, well, Dad, you had to go through hard times to make it easy. And I'm going, you're going to go through your version of hard times too. It ain't easy.
right.
Um, how does waiting to exhale connect to the larger movement of building through coaching, your ministry, and speaking work?
Waiting to exit hell. It's waiting to exit hell.
Right.
Waiting to exit hell is literally the framework. I literally just came from Houston where we did a workshop called The Journey Out. And it, in this event, and I do one online, it's called the Exit Experience. And basically it just hit me. Everything that I've done, whether it was building a network marketing business, because that's really about building people, is centered on impacting lives for growth, for purpose, to live on purpose, right? To do destiny. And whatever has you stuck is literally an indication of that destiny, of that purpose. So woven throughout the book is opportunities for you to begin to think about what is it that I really like to do? What am I really good at doing? Interview your five friends and the five closest people to you and ask them, when you think of me professionally, when you think of me personally, what do you think of? You would be surprised how many doctors, lawyers, old people. I'm not old. And you said you and I are older. I'm not old. I don't know. Wait, anyway, but have never found their purpose. I did an event in Chicago, and one of the ladies, she had to be a 70-year-old woman, and she said, I supported my husband through medical school. Then I had the kids. Then I raised the family while he was doing all this, and then he got older and left, and I have no idea what my purpose ever was. That is really a sad commentary. It's one thing to not know your purpose ever and then get to your graveyard. And like Miles Monroe said, the wealthiest place is the graveyard because that's where your goals, your dreams, your gifts, the things that are put in you when you leave heaven to do get wasted. So I want to help. Like, I want to help pull that out of you. I want to help bring those things to the surface so that you can impact the world the way you were created to. It's in there.
It's amazing. I'm going to keep repeating this. We have so many things that are uh, almost identical. The only difference is a female version of the conversation that I have versus me, a male version of a conversation that you're having in present states. It's
Yeah.
that when I talk to young people, and I talk to a lot of high risk kids, so there's not profit in these forgotten children, but I try to provide an opportunity with hope, which I create the
Yes.
acronym. And since you, Dr. Stan Harris, Dr. Breakthrough, referred you to me, um, we all have our purpose. I mean, I found out my why at 16 through 18. It was redefined when I was 27 to 30. It was redefined
Hmm.
when I was 45 to 50. When I got in 50s, I found out what exactly my purpose was. And my purpose had been something I had been living since I was 8 years old, is hope. helping other people every day,
Yes.
connecting people to other good people that or a resource that were open to connecting other people. You often talk about the beauty beyond the fire in your book. You brought up a story, and I'm going to ask you to share it because we have a similar. I wrote a book called Dating with a Full Deck. I took my divorce and made something positive, but I
Mhm.
also dedicated my book to my ex because if it had not been for what I had went through, I would not have the emotional intelligence in order to write that book and to be fair, not only emotionally to me, but also be responsible for my role in the demise of that relationship. You made $1 million
Yeah,
um, talking about your relationship.
I
So
did.
I want you to share your own personal faith and resilience and how it shaped that message. And please explain to me how you made $1 million and how your ex-husband received that.
So what the way it happened, we were when I met, and this is the irony of it. When I met my ex-husband, I was working in the law firm, and he was a real estate broker. And we met. I was going to an event at church, a church anniversary dinner. I didn't have a date. He didn't have a date. So we ended up sitting together, talking about real estate and all these other kinds of things. And it was interesting because we became leaders in the business ministry at our church. We started traveling for Bob and Cindy Harrison's Christian leadership event in Hawaii every
Mm.
single year for 8 years. As a matter of fact, the first year we went, we only had $350 to spend. We didn't realize that a gallon of milk cost $20. And we were there for a week. But because we were so keyed in on having business success, we literally found a couple there, the Austin Force out of Seattle, Washington, who owns some nursing homes. And we asked if we could interview them. Now, mind you, we had $350 for two people for 10 days in Hawaii. And here we
Mhm.
are trying to buy dinner for somebody else. So we were like, well, can we do lunch? Bought them lunch. We're like, no, we're not really happy, hungry, had a little side salad. And when the check came, we paid for it. They were like, oh, no, we'll do it. I was like, no, no, because we honor you for taking your time and sharing with us the story of your sacrifice. This is just kind of baseline the way this relationship was. And they started crying because they said people expected them because they had more to do more. But we made the sacrifices. We lived with his parents for a period of time. We were building, like, we had a store. I was working in the basement, building a transcription business, staying at home. So we were always well, he was entrepreneurial. When I met him, I told him he needed to get a job, something with benefits,
Mm.
right? So he literally is the entry, the door to my understanding anything about business and the freedom with comes the freedom that comes with not having to answer to anyone else, to being able to work on your own terms, to not have anyone questioning or struggling with, can I do this even though they're telling me I need money if it is outside your integrity, outside your character, outside who you've decided that you want it to be. But eventually, it's like the money, something clicked and he'll tell you it was a character issue that he had based on his own experience. And he can share that part. And he just ended up seeing other people. And we ended up divorcing. Well, we separated first and then ultimately divorced. But when he left, he took his six-figure income with him. So I had three daughters. I had a mortgage, I had car notes, all these other bills that I had to figure out how to pay. And my why was my children. When I was traveling around the country talking about this business, this company, I was known as the why lady. My statement was if your why is big enough, the how will take care of itself. All you have to do is look at your children's faces and determine they deserve more. So you're going to do everything that you can to make sure that they don't miss a beat. Just, their friends are going to summer camp. They deserve to go too. Like they don't need to be those, the kids that everybody feels sorry for. And a clue to your why is what hurts you. WHY. What gives you pain when you think about not being able to do it? And whether you've gotten clear on yours or not, it's also your responsibility to help your children get clear on theirs. This is part of parenting. We're not supposed to just take care of our kids. We have to parent them. We have to help them discover what God had intended when He sent them here into the earth realm. So that's part of your why. Who's counting on you? who's looking up to you, who's believing in you, who's trusting. I needed my kids to know that there was a better way than bonbons, fuzzy slippers, and food stamps. And I'm not saying if you're not, if you don't use those programs the way they should be used, I'm not even going to say the way that they're designed. Anything that's going to weaken my resolve, anything that is going to cause me to be okay with the status quo, to be average, it can't stay in my space long. I was
Right.
on food stamps at one point, and I used them for the season when I needed to get on, I used them to get up back on my feet. And then I stopped it, right? You gotta get this thing, you gotta understand who you are and whose you are. And when you get clear about your why, then making things happen is easy, it becomes easier. And people told me I shouldn't do it. You can't do that business. You shouldn't start that business. You're spending more time away from your kids. I can remember snowstorms when I had quotas to meet and I was out in the snow and Tim sliding around so that I could sell my quotas so that I could maintain the position and the income. I remember getting to $22,000 a month. And then they changed the comp plan and it dropped to eight. And then I had to rebuild again. But my why was big enough because not only were my kids counting on me now, there was this whole organization of people who were trusting that what we were sharing with them would allow them to get money as an issue out of the way, time as an issue out of the way, so they could stop doing what they had to do and start doing what they were created to do. And that's how I found my way into that money because I would not give up. If there was a block in the road, I was going over it, under it, around it. I was going to blow it up. Somehow we were going to get past it to the next level. Now, what I can tell you, Kevin, today I've learned we used to say dumb stuff like, we work eight to faint. I'll sleep when I die. You know how when you're young and you're energetic, and then you hit 40 and you're like, ooh, I think I need a nap or something.
Right.
With the knowledge and the understanding of systems and how things work, today I have found I get more done in rest than I do in production.
Can you
Like
repeat?
it's
Can you repeat that again?
I get more done in rest than I do in production. I'm getting paid for now what I know and not so much for what I do. And I believe that that is the way that it's supposed to flow. And when you're young and you're energetic and you can move mountains, go move them. Now I'm going to coach you in how to move them.
That's all right. I could use some coaching. I'm ready. I'm ready. Teach. Teach. Come on. Put me in the
Yeah.
game. Put me in
The
the
whole
game.
idea, though, is that chaos has to become your classroom, right? And then peace becomes the proof of concept.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
That's an original one. I love that one.
Yeah. Yes.
Chaos has to become your classroom.
Yes.
And people don't realize that because sometimes chaos creates that extra blanket over your head, hoping that it all's going to go away.
Yeah,
Um, you have three daughters,
I
all right?
do.
This is not something I had in my notes, but this is just coming across. It is hard, and I'm saying this because I made joke of Michael Jordan earlier because I went to go see Kevin Hart, and he had asked the question, goes, how many people have two children? And people
Mhm.
raised their hand. He said, how many people have four children? Raised their hand. How many people have more than four children? A bunch of people raised their hand. He said, how many of you guys are planning to send those children to college? A lot of people raised their hand. He said, let me be honest with you. He says, pick out the one that has the most potential and save your money. He says, because the rest of them are duds. He says, you look at Michael Jordan, he's one of the greatest basketball players ever in his time, and he's sitting on the couch with two duds sitting there playing video games.
Wow.
And he turned around and said, look at Steph Curry's father. He's got both sons in the NBA, and they're performing or whatever. But what happens is a lot of times, and this is what I learned, and especially watching young people today, parents have become more friends
Yeah.
than their kids. They are traveling the same lane, social media, as their children. They're wearing the same outfits as their children. They're trying to club with their children
Mhm.
because somebody wrote in the book, you're not supposed to discipline. I don't know how you were raised up, but there were certain things that if you did, you respected the fact that you had to address the consequences. Right now, our children have more opinions than they have books in their library. All right. And that's not what, I never spoke back to my grandparents. I thought it, but I never said it.
Right, right.
I never raised my hand to my parents after they spanked my butt. But I
Hmm.
also knew that the time that they were trying to guide me and direct me and get my attention, it wasn't a child abuse. It was part of being a parent. And sometimes you get tough love because life is not fair on you.
Right.
Now, the thing is, with your three daughters, mother has a story that says resilience all day long. You should have t-shirts, Mama R. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you talk about your emotional journey, and then when you attach your spiritual journey and then your professional journey, you have three kids
Yeah.
that can fall under each one of them. If I was talking about your emotional journey and attach it to one of your children, you can listen by name. Where would it go?
Right. Probably my oldest daughter, because we kind of grew up together. And it's ironic because she's here in Atlanta with me. So she's the one who is most like me when it comes to entrepreneurship, making things happen, overcoming trauma and dramas. Um, and all three of my daughters, I'm very, very blessed, are some of the most productive, well put together, well spoken, give back people. Like genuinely, I like them as people. But I was really excited when I transitioned from mom to coach mom. When I stopped being tied to the results of their decisions at that level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, the thing that we don't remember. My children, yeah, I was very strict. When I was married, we were very strict. And then even after, I was like, there's only gonna be one spoiled person in this house, and it's gonna be the one who's working. The one who's paying for everything, one whose roof this is. And my youngest daughter, she's most like me spiritually. And in terms of her parenting, she's very, it's bizarre because they're all three mine, but they're so very different, right? My middle daughter, she has a travel business where she coordinates and travels all over the world while still working a full-time job. And she's the nicest person you will ever meet. She's grabbing other kids, other youth, and just like really pouring into their lives. They're all very different, but they are all they're very successful in their own rights. But I was never their friend. To this day, we're not friends. I'm still Coach Mom, right? There's a level. We do things, we're friendly, we laugh, we talk, we joke, but there is clearly a line, and there has to be. Now, go to the next generation. I can see a difference in my grandchildren and how they react and respond to me and how they react and respond to their parents, because I'm still the only person that gets to be spoiled in the house. I want to
Mm-hmm.
enjoy my time with you. When you come over, I don't want to have to be like, oh, I can't wait for you to leave. No, we're going to have fun. You're going to learn. You're going to grow. You're going to develop as a human being because there are boundaries. And these children who don't have boundaries are the ones you're seeing on the news, wilding out, getting hurt, or worse, getting taken. I my children were never positioned out of our purview long enough for somebody to take them and not know what happened to them. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's like we're not taking it seriously anymore, the responsibility that we have as parents. Like there is a God-given responsibility. Your children don't belong to you. They come through you. You have a right, a role, and a responsibility in their lives. They're not your slaves. They're not your doormats. They're not your punching bags. They have to be respected, but they also have to understand boundaries and become productive members of society. It's a very, very, I'm oftentimes concerned about our next generation of leaders with no leadership skills.
And since you brought that up and tabled that, and especially in the Black community, especially in the community where women, entrepreneurs, we're all thriving. Historically, Black colleges are on the chopping block. So the ability to have an education is going to be few and far between for a lot of people. Financial aid that normally was provided has been cut off. there is a system now in place that is trying to rewrite or replace our history. Now, talking to our young people, the opportunities that were available to you and I are the opportunities still available to our children and our grandchildren going forward? And how do you address the conversation that's going on as far as our identity and our place in the current environment?
So I believe it's our responsibility to teach our kids that. I don't think that we should make a government mandate that says that you have to do X, Y, or Z. For me, as a woman coming up, in terms of levels of success and growing in income and influence, it wasn't level the playing field. I wasn't looking for anybody to level the playing field. I was just looking to get on the playing field. I'll level it myself, right? Yes, we do want the extra support. That's great. Any help we can get is amazing. But I am not going to be dependent on that support. That it's not going to, otherwise, it can become my reason for not having the success. I didn't do it because they didn't give it to me. I did. No, you did it, especially because they didn't give it to you. So even in my children, when, I didn't get that scholarship, I did, okay, so what are we going to do? What is the strategy? Where there is a will, there is truly a way, but you can't be lazy about it. You have to take the time, do the research, and figure it out. I don't ever want any one race of people to look and say, look what we did for Black people, and this is why you're anything today. No, we're something today because we were something when we got here. We're going to be something when we leave here, and we're going to be productive members of society the entire time that we're here. I think it's a mindset shift that needs to happen. Am I excited about, people's um, I'm absolutely sensitive to people's, SNAP benefits, et cetera, food stamps being cut off. That's not how you do that. If you want to change the system, then you have to grandfather. You got to work with people. You got to put some things in place because we've got generations of people who have been in that system that don't know any better. So
Right.
just like we had generations that got into it over time, it's going to take time for us to get them out of it. Simply cutting them off is not the answer. However, those of us who can do better and know better need to teach and take the time with those who want to do better so they can get off the rolls and not be subject to any man's whims. In my office, my tax office, my tax and financial services office is in an area that you would call the hood, like right square, right in the middle. A lot of my clients um, well, I should say a certain segment of my clients are getting that earned income credit. They're getting the child tax credit. They are the, middle to lower or low income. They wait for, tax season to get these big refunds, which is really not a good thing. Like that means you've either paid too much in taxes or you didn't make enough money not to qualify for the credits. There is, though, within that population, a group of people who want more. So my responsibility is when you come in my office and you want more is to walk you into more. We've helped people get out of projects, helped them get off of public assistance, help them start businesses, expand businesses, because if you are successful, you have a responsibility to pay it forward, to go help somebody else. Everybody doesn't want the help, but there's somebody there who is literally dying for your support and your help. Why do we act like we're afraid? Like we've never been there. Why do we act like, oh, I've never, oh my gosh. No, we've all done some things, been a part of some things, had some things going on in our lives that we're not especially proud of. So
Right.
stop looking down your nose at people and go show them a better way. If they choose not to go, you've done your part. The word says that one man sows, one man plows, one man reaps, one man waters, and then ultimately someone will harvest. Do your part. It's not, and stop looking at the people that you bless to bless you back. Come on now. You reap what you sow, not where you sow. There are people, you need to find people that can't do anything for you. Be a blessing to them or their kids. Grab their kids up. Mama don't want it. Cool. Let's be friends with their kids. Let's take them to the library. Let's buy them books and have conversations. Let's stop by school and have lunch with them once a week, once a month. Anything that shows them a glimpse of a better way. So I'm not depending on anybody else to do it for me.
That's all right.
Me and God, that's enough.
Hey, I'm going to say this, and this is going to be a little personal because I know, some of my guests are very successful professionals, and they're going to look at you and goes, and because it's hard for me to turn off that producer hat, that production hat, and whatever. Um, what brings you peace? I actually wrote a song about that because I know that in every space of my life, I'm thriving. But the part that I need peace, I'm still writing music about. And you'll hear it in the words of my song, and I'll share that with you. What brings you peace?
I ride my bicycle. I get into nature. When I go out, like I live on a lake, I used to live on the ocean, to get out there and just experience creation. It allows me to kind of turn off my phone and meditate on who I am, whose I am, and it keeps me fresh with purpose. It keeps me fresh with strategies for moving forward. Some say I work too much, but we've all heard the saying that if you do what you were created, if you do what you love, you'll never work another day in your life.
True.
Well, I love impacting people's lives, so it's not like work for me. What I have had to learn to do, though, was to carve out solitude, carve out that time where I can be alone with my own thoughts so that the freshness of the inspiration is always evident. Don't want to get stale. Don't want to, but I've always said I would rather wear out than rust out. So a good 8, 10, 12 mile bike ride, that brings me peace. Sitting on the water with a cup of hot tea, that brings me peace. Being with my friends and family, traveling the world. I just got back from Cape Town, South Africa. Amazing. Oh, good food brings me peace too. I'm a foodie. Mm.
All right. All right. So
Yeah.
your head, now I'm going to go to your heart. All right. I know I have conversations with men all the time. I have conversations with females all the time, and they're trying to find a good man, a good woman, or whatever. But when someone sees a person like Dr. Ferguson, okay, that is so, I mean, it's like everything about you, even with bad lighting, it's wow. You know,
Thank you.
it, it's going to take a very strong man. I'm not even saying I hate the word strong. All right. Confidence is one, and someone that sees the value in the present conversation happening right now. How does someone feel that space in your heart that doesn't create conflict with your purpose? And I guess if I ask the same thing, your heart and your purpose aligned in the same thing. And that's just in addition to, it's like garnish on the perfect meal. All
Right,
right. How does
right.
someone feel that space on there? Because I know I'm going to
So
get phone calls.
So what happens is very often I meet people and they think that, I've actually had men say to me, I mean, what can I do for you? It's like, dude, that's the wrong question.
True
That is
that.
the total wrong question. When you spend time with me and you realize not just me, but many women that look like me, many Black women, we are doing what we've had to do, not necessarily what we want to do. I always said the man that I end up with ultimately will have a vision big enough for me to fit into, which means I take a support role. I don't want to drive. I drive because if I don't drive, the car won't move. There's nobody, if I get in the passenger seat and there's nobody in the driver's seat, there's no forward movement. And that's not acceptable in terms of purpose, in terms of my mission, which is to impact lives. So that means whoever he is has to be able to see beyond the author, entrepreneur, business owner, speaker, world traveler to the girl, not even the woman, the girl. There, I'm just a girl. I just want to be a girl. Can I just go get my nails done and then like go to the gym for a couple hours, maybe hang out at the spa? I just want to be a girl.
Don't be a girl.
Literally. Like that's it. That's it. And then I mean, literally, And then what do you have going on? Like, how do I support you? If I'm doing it for the masses, the strangers, why wouldn't I do it for him? Right?
Right.
That's my vibe. That's my thing. Let's do some things together. Let's make the world better together.
Boy, I'm going to pick up the mic because you just dropped it. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to hand it back to you. Um, how do we get your book? Where do we get it? And is it on Audible? Because it needs to be on Audible because people need to hear your voice. And for your speaking engagements, how do we get in contact with you?
Yes. So the book is absolutely available on Amazon and it's also available in the Kindle version. And but if you want the autographed copy, you order it from my site. My site is katrinaspeaks.com/book. And you can get it there along with some other paraphernalia workbooks that we have that go with it. You can get information about the experience, which is a monthly event that we do. It's absolutely free where we come together for a couple of hours and we talk about what the hell is going on in your life and how to help you get out. We do the beginning steps and stages and then talk about some even more in-depth coaching and opportunities if you're interested. I haven't done the Audible version and I really want to. I just haven't taken the time to get in the studio to do it. I need to make that happen for
All right.
sure. But my
Well,
website is Dr.Katrinaferguson.com, and information about speaking engagements and other opportunities is there as well.
I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to volunteer to help you put your Audible together.
Oh, I'd love that. I would
All
love
right.
that. Yes.
Because I have some people that do it. If you want to record it yourself, I have people that will help you do that, and people that do it for a living.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I would love to do that. I would love
Oh,
to
great.
help you. All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
So
Yes.
we covered a lot of information. I kind of got side tracked with many of the questions I have, but I'm going to tell everyone if you want to know more about Dr. Ferguson, read the pages of her book. If you want to know how to exit hell, HELL, I'll say it, so we don't get end up with a Holly Berry movie. Um, you're thinking exhale instead of exit hell. Life comes to those in different ways, and how we receive it and what we do with life's blessings is either going to help us or destroy us. Um, I would ask this, and I don't ask this for all my guests, but the ones that I am personally impressed by, and it's hard to impress me. Okay, right now, I've taken off the seatbelt from being a show host to just being a fan. I'm in awe.
Oh,
Of you, okay, I am
thank you.
totally in awe of you, and I'm
Thank you.
impressed. Our stories are not much different. Our answers to our questions are not much different, and how we present ourselves. The only thing that separates us is the lighting in the room. So I'm
It'll
impressed.
be
Now
better. It'll get better.
wait till you hear my music. So we'll go from there. I am a wordsmith when it comes to being emotionally attached to the heart, and it took a knock in my head to give me a TBI in order for God does work in a strange way. Is how that you get knocked out, lose your memory, reteach yourself to read for the second time, and then he puts nothing but words in your head.
Wow.
Nothing but words in your head. I'm like a machine when it comes to emotionally
Yes.
transition or expressing myself, unless I make a fool of myself. There's interest in someone, then I stutter like a washing machine. But anyway, um, so I have always said when I started this podcast, everyone asked me who was my audience and what was I going to talk about, whatever, and I wanted to give a platform to people that we should know, such as yourself, people that Good Morning America, whatever, because you weren't famous yet, weren't giving you a platform. But I think everyone needs to know Dr. Katrina. Um, and that's why I have my show. But I also wanted to tell stories that could be repeatable
Mhm.
for young men, young women, that says that if you can do it, I can do it. And a
Yes.
lot of people that are in our positions don't believe that you can do it because I did it. But we both laid the pathway for opportunity to present itself. But the way life works is take one step at a time. And if you keep walking often enough and hard enough and overcome some things, you'll definitely get to your destiny. You just got to keep walking. And
Yeah.
if you lose your legs, crawl. You lose your hands, roll over.
Yeah.
Okay. As long
Yeah.
as you give your brain and heart, purpose exists.
Yes.
So, with that said, my friends, they don't drive by an accident. They stop and help. That's the reason why I say don't like or comment or subscribe to the podcast unless you are a person of high call to action, which you are. But if you had one ask, was someone could possibly assist you, help you, guide you, provide, or open the door for you? All right. And like I said, my friends don't stop by and they don't drive by, they stop to help. I've had
Yeah.
7 people that have answered this question to this day. One of my friends is in Atlanta, where you're at. He's the co-host to Steve Harvey Jr. He wants to build a facility to help give medical care to sickle cell patients. And someone granted him 35 acres of land in Houston, Texas, where you had spoke at last. So I
Yes.
want you think about this ask. Um, Ask big. All right. You've heard let's say, and everyone else say, don't rub the lantern and ask little things that could be twisted. Define, put exactly what you want and when you want it, how you want it on it. So go ahead.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is this. I did this in Philadelphia years ago, is I'm going to open a home for unwed mothers as well as for our young girls who, for whatever reason, cannot seem to get that mentorship, that relationship with their own parents. Because, um, and I want to connect it to a daycare center and a home for the elderly, because the elderly will live longer with the energy of the youth, the young people. The young people can learn from the wisdom of the elderly. And when you have people like us who are willing to pour and not worry about what comes out for us on the other side, then we can change the world. I did this in Philly. I put a $50,000 deposit down on 2 buildings to do this. And the broker stole my money. He cashed my check. And at the time, I was so crushed. I remember I called my dad and I was crying. I was like, Dad, this is what happened. He listened to me for a minute and he said, Shut up. I was like, Did you not hear what I said? He's like, Yeah, shut up. You're young. One, you'll make the money again. He said, Two, you're crying like a fatherless child. If it's in your heart to do, then you will do it. And that's the door that I've been seeking and asking. Like, where is it available? Who has the expertise that I can partner with to make this happen for that segment of society? That's why I work in the environment that I work in. Like, and the rich other clients, they come right in there too. But that's really, if there was an ask, that's what it would be.
Right. Your prayers are now on my heart. And I'm going to share this recording with some people that hopefully I'm confident in that they can help you with your ask.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Thank
all
you.
about helping people.
You're
So
awesome. I'm so glad I met you.
I'm so glad I met you. And hey, there's an open seat for you always. Anytime you write
Okay.
another book, you want to talk about something. I don't care if we come on here and just shoot the breeze. That's not
Okay.
exactly what I say, but I'm not going to say it because Dr. Stan will have some words for me if I say something that not exactly well, it's in the alphabet, so I could say it. But
I should,
anyway,
I should probably say this too. Like you mentioned Dr. Stan a couple of times. Dr. Stan has been so instrumental in my exposure. He's been amazing. He's the one who opened the door for me to speak at the Potter's House. He's the one who has introduced me to some of the most amazing people like the Kevin McLemores of the world. And he has a heart of absolute gold. Loves God, loves God's people. So thanks, Dr. Stan.
all right, I'm say this to you because I'm afraid to say it to Dr. Stan. One, I'm going to invite you, invitation to come on our Sunday podcast, Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends, where you can be a co-host, where we throw out quotes in because I want people to know you. The other thing is, every Sunday, Dr. Stan, I cry every single Sunday after leaving the show. I still have not gotten used to the accolades that Dr. Stan gives me credit for. Um, um, I don't know why, but I do this because this is what God's purpose is for me to be able to share these stories and connect people and help other people. There's been many times that people have asked me, what can they do for me? And I said, you've already done it. I have acquired a great deal of wealth at one time. I've had it stolen from me. I've been homeless. And the nice thing about being homeless when you own a brand new Ford Explorer, and I will say this, a twin bed air mattress, um, fits just fine in it. I still had access to YouTube because I had a phone and whatever. And the one thing is, you only become homeless, you only become broke, you only become fractured or whatever if your state of mind allows that conversation to exist. When I laid my head down on a pillow, on an air mattress in a Ford Explorer, brand new, I had clean furnishing. I had access to electricity. I went to the Y to go to the bathroom. I had doors that locked that protected me, and I had transportation. So it's
Yeah.
all based on perspective and innovation. And I always knew if I made it once, because I grew up dirt poor, that I can make it again. So this conversation today, it's hard to close when Dr. Ferguson has so much to give. But Dr. Ferguson reminds us that the healing is not about pretending that the fire doesn't happen. It's about learning how to walk through it as it comes and not let it redefine you or destroy you. So I say this, if you're listening today and you feel trapped by your past or your pain, remember the beauty beyond the fire. That if your exit is not the end, it is your new beginning.
Yes.
My grandfather always said, when you get to a place in life that you can help someone else out, he said it's your duty to do so. He said, reach one, teach one. And with that said, Dr. Ferguson, I want to thank you for being a guest.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll fade to black.